What kind of atmosphere did you feel there? I mean, you were obviously, following various military and other units. You spoke to the cartel people. What's the general atmosphere?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, completely heart-wrenching to see this mother burying her own daughter, to see this woman burying her baby sister. And what you didn't see in the footage there, but what happened was that just a few meters away, there was another funeral taking place. We were on the ground for just a few days, and every single night there was violence erupting there. So it is still extremely dangerous. People are getting caught up in cartel shootouts, and then there's a lot of collateral damage, as we've seen. Yeah. Men, women, and children are getting caught up.
I was actually fascinated by what I believe the sister said to you, was that in the past years, because, drug cartels have been there forever, there was a sort of an unspoken rule that women and children are not targeted. Yeah. And it's changed.
It's changed because this alliance between these two factions of the Sinaloa cartel have broken down. And so now violence is just everywhere. Thousands of people have been killed. Hundreds of people are disappearing, as we saw Alma's sister disappear before her body was then sadly discovered. And so, yeah, this is really a complete breakdown of society. And it's impacting every facet of society there. We spoke to a school principal who was saying that attendance is right down. Children are afraid to show up to school. The nightlife, which is actually normally very vibrant, very famous there in Culiacan, has almost disappeared. It's very, very eerie. You saw we were with the paramedics there as they're responding to violent incidents on an almost nightly basis.
Yeah, so, everybody is involved in one way or another. What made the cartel member talk to you?
Well, this was weeks and weeks of our contact on the ground, who is from Culiacan, went to school with a lot of these people who ended up joining the cartel itself, negotiating with them, talking with them, reassuring him that we weren't the DEA, we weren't the CIA, we weren't law enforcement, we weren't about to do anything to him. And eventually, he sat down with us. I've been reporting on the Sinaloa and on other criminal gangs for a long time in Mexico. And, I was really surprised to hear him say that their position has been weakened, that, as you saw, he said, we have respect for Donald Trump for putting pressure on the Mexican government through the form of tariffs, through the form of...
Against their own interests.
Yeah, but he says that this is something that is working there. What we also need to bear in mind is that President Claudia Sheinbaum has a very different attitude to her predecessor, who had a hugs, not bullets attitude to the cartels. Mm-hmm. And so in the first 6 months of her presidency, she's arrested over 17,000 high-impact criminals, including a lot of cartel members, seized over 140 tons of drugs. And so this has had a real impact there.
I wonder if they're afraid of getting those famous, U.S. military strikes, the threat. But what I found interesting was the cartel member you spoke to essentially said, when you said, what do you think about, Trump's methods? And he said, well, my respect. And you said, why? And he said, because he's trying to do the best for his people. But then he said, it's his people, essentially the Americans, who are keeping this industry, this illegal industry going, because they're the addicts. They're the ones who are buying it.
Exactly. And what he was also saying is that, they are responding to this by being increasingly agile. You've got to remember, this is one of the most powerful criminal networks in the world. And they have many, many years of experience in evading the authorities, moving production outside of the state, as they told us they were doing now, using smaller production facilities, smaller, more mobile equipment. And yeah, they said that for as long as President Trump is not addressing the bigger issue of addiction in the US, then they will continue feeding that demand.
It's an endless cycle. Isobel Yeung, thank you. Thanks very much.